Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club. This is the special Blue Wave edition.
You know, Norm, I would like to take a special liberty to just say, don't blame me. I voted for sanity. And I think that's exactly what happened yesterday. This is courtesy of our dear friend, George Conway, by the way. Norm, I just got to say, I think blue wave is an understatement. I call it Democratic dominance. I mean, the results are palpable, tangible, very real. And I'm happy. I'm determined, but I'm happy today.
Katie, it was a blue shock wave. It was a blue tsunami. You had Spanberger winning by double digits. That was expected in the Virginia gubernatorial. But in New Jersey, Cheryl winning by an even larger double-digit margin. Wow. For governor in New Jersey. That was supposed to be a tight race. And then unexpected developments like in Georgia, we flipped 2 seats. We elected Georgia Democrats to the state's Public Service Commission, Alicia Johnson and Peter Hubbard. They were the first non-federal statewide win for Democrats in Georgia in nearly 2 decades. Prop 50, that blew the windows off in California. And of course, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court retention races, big wins there. A fun fact, Katie specializes in fun facts. Exit polls even showed Democrats improve their margins with young people, Hispanic, non-college educated voters. The coalition that barely powered Trump to success was exploded and came back to pro-democracy Big Tent. Katie, before I pass back to you, I like to say it was an A to Z Big Tent Democratic coalition from Abigail Spanberger to Zoran Mamdani. And that's what we need.
In 2025, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship. We chose our Commonwealth over chaos.
Norm, that's it. Pragmatism over partisanship, the Commonwealth of Virginia over chaos. You could just plug and play any state, any jurisdiction over this idea of chaos. We, as Americans, voted for competency. But look, part of us being able to even vote, as we touched on yesterday, Norm, is access to voting, which means we got to go to court. And what's Democracy Defenders Fund doing lately, Norm, when it comes to some of these critical, important issues for Americans?
Katie, you and I were in court all over the country yesterday, all year long. Today, we're supporting important litigation. And friends, that's what's unique about Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club here at the Contrarian. When you're a paid subscriber, you support our not only great journalism like this program and our wonderful work over on Substack, but also fighting for that democracy. So yesterday we got word, for example, in New Jersey, hundreds of ballots they didn't want to count. Well, we were in court fighting for that. Katie and I talked about it on the show yesterday.
Yep.
If you look underneath the hood of the 3 big themes that powered that win of pragmatism over partisanship and competency over chaos, that was powered by things like affordability. How are we fighting Donald Trump's efforts to make things more expensive for you with dozens of cases? For example, today, the tariffs case is being litigated in the Supreme Court at the Democracy Defenders Fund. It's a conservative Supreme Court. So we got a huge number of conservatives together to file an amicus brief to support. They filed their brief at the Supreme Court. They said, we're conservatives. These tariffs are a tax on every American consumer. Affordability. What about the second big issue, healthcare? Katie, how are we protecting the fight, the shutdown fight over healthcare with our litigation at Democracy Defenders Fund?
We're looking at the fact that all of this is intertwined, right, Norm? And so this idea that if you don't get benefits, if you don't get what you're supposed to get as an American, and with the shutdown being an impact on people being able to have access to essential health care, DDF and others, we are focusing on making sure that we bring the right type of litigation to protect those interests. Because frankly, Norm, if you don't get your SNAP benefits, if you don't get your access to health care, if you don't get your job because you've been furloughed and then illegally terminated, DDF is looking out for all of these areas that the Trump administration has been targeting for basic working class Americans.
So, Fight Club members, that means, for example, that you are in court when Donald Trump is trying to bust the shutdown and get Democrats to flinch. Katie and I and all of our colleagues in our wonderful coalition are in court. He tried to pressure the coalition to break by firing government workers illegally. We went to court. We got an order stopping him. And that enables the coalition to keep fighting to secure our health care benefits and to defend that important issue. And then, of course, the biggie that we work on together, Katie and I and all of our colleagues, and we cover it at the Contrarian and here on YouTube in Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club, anti-corruption. Donald Trump with illegally tearing down that wing of the White House, the East Wing, with accepting billions of dollars, a luxury plane from Qatar. We're pushing back on all of that, filing legal complaints, going to court, and succeeding in exposing the terrible cost of corruption for the American people. Affordability, healthcare, anti-corruption.
Norm, don't forget, though, DDF's work on pushing for a transparency on the Epstein files as well. That has not gone unnoticed and unmonitored by us at DDF.
The very first case, first FOIA request, and then a first case demanding the Epstein files. And we're not giving up. We're in court right now, pushing, and we're going to get them. Epstein, and his connection to Trump. It's a big part of the corruption story. So there you have it, friends. Pragmatism over partisanship, competence over chaos, focus on affordability, healthcare, anti-corruption. It worked. And now we're going to keep on going. The interaction of our work in the court of law and in the court of public opinion. Katie, last word to you.
We promise inside baseball here at Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club. Norm, I'm not betraying confidences when I tell all our viewers right now that just this morning we are working to make sure that we're, celebrating these wins, but we're also strategizing and we're looking at the lay of the land to make sure that we are finding out and figuring out where our next moves need to be. We like to be on the offense as well as the defense at DDF. So we're grateful for all of the support we're getting from the paid contributors at the Contrarian, at Substack. For those of you that may want to contribute here via the QR code that you'll see on the screen in just a little bit. Any of the support means that, for example, the amazing work that Norm does and those amicus briefs, Norm, we're getting cited. Our amicus briefs are getting cited in judicial opinions. This is the type of work that has very real impacts for Americans. And so I just want to say a big resounding thank you to all of the amazing candidates that ran across the U.S. We got a lot more work to do, but Norm and I are ready for it.
Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time on Norm and Katie's Legal Fight Club here on the Contrarian YouTube channel.